Hello my friends, and welcome back to the wonderful world of music. So, last week we were in meter land, right? We were talking about meter. And meter, just to review, we said it was the way the music makes you feel that you want to move, or the way the music makes you want to dance, right? And so, we talked about marching versus skipping, right? The difference and how it just feels different. And today we're going to talk more about meter, but first I want to kind of build on what we learned last time. Last time we talked about meter also as how notes are separated into groups, right? For instance, we talked about how notes were separated into groups of 4, into groups of 3, into groups of 2, whatever. So now we talked about the top number in the meter, but I do want to talk about the bottom number today, but first I want to review how we get that top number. So real quick, let's get counting our notes. Here we go. 1, 2, ready on ta. Ta, 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 ta. Very good. So as you can see, there's a bunch of tas. And like last week, we have our heart. The heart tells you that it's a beat, right? So this brick with a heart in it is one beat. One beat, one beat, one beat, whatever. We have a bunch of beats. Now I'm going to make it a little trickier, just like last time. So what about now? It's still beats, right? But that's not the same as that. So this can't be the same as this, right? If one whole brick with a heart in it is that, what do we have to do to this little brick here? This little rectangle. Triangle, I almost said. Yes, we have to divide it in half, right? Because two of these pieces, right, TT, makes one ta. So we got to do that with these. There we go, much better. See how I divided it in half, so now you can see this part gets this half of the beat and this part gets this half of the beat. But it's still one whole beat, right? So if this is one whole beat, yeah, ta gets the beat. We're going to come back to that in a second. So now what I want to do is, music doesn't, as we said last week, music doesn't usually look like this. It's not just a bunch of random notes, right? It's divided into groups. That's the point, that's part of the point of meter, right? Among many other things. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put a measure line. We talked about measure lines last week. They look like this. They separate groups of notes into things called measures. And so the measure line helps you measure how many notes are in each group, right? That's why it's called measure line or a measure. Yeah. So one beat, one beat, one beat, one beat. Let's see. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. How about this group here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I forgot my measure line. Whoop, there we go. So there's 4 beats in each measure. So last week we talked about how the top number, getting back to meter, the top number in our meter tells us how many beats are in each measure or are grouped together. So we're going to put at the top there, we're going to put 4 because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 notes in each measure. Yep. 4 beats. Okay, now this bottom thing. This brick here is one beat, right? Because it's not divided in half or it's not cut in half. It's one whole brick with a heart. The heart tells us that this brick is one beat. And if this is just one note by itself or one ta, that tells us that ta gets that one beat. Ta is our beat. We're counting tas. Or we're counting quarter notes. So, as I said last week, I'm going to put the quarter note down there, telling us number 1 on the top, telling us that there's 4 beats in a measure. Down here telling us that the quarter note gets the beat, or we're counting quarter notes. Now what if I do this? I didn't change any notes, I just added measure lines. So now there's 1, 2 beats, 1, 2 beats, 2 beats, and 2 beats. So now this would change from a 4 to a 2. Make sense? Do you remember this from last week? And it would look like so. It would look like this. Now I'm going to change it one more time. So now we have 1, 2, 3 beats. This is all the same, right? I didn't change any of that. 1, 2, 3 beats and 1, 2, 3 beats. So now the number that goes here on the top, how many beats per measure are grouped together? 3, or tres, or if you like French, trois. Very good. So 3 beats per measure, or each measure. Very good. So now that we have that down, but Mr. Chiquino, you promised that you would teach us about what goes here. It's not a symbol. It's not a note that goes there, Mr. Chiquino. I know. We talked about how a number also goes down there. And we know that a quarter note gets the beat, but what does that mean in terms of numbers? let's talk about it right now with my all-time favorite food, pizza, pizza, daddy-o. I love me some pizza. I actually had pizza earlier today. So, we've got pizza. And for this example, let's use my dear friend that my 3rd and 4th graders know. And for those of you who don't know him, let me introduce my friend to you, Billy Bob Joe Bob Frank Bob Harris. Now, Billy Bob Joe Bob Frank Bob Harris, let's just say that he loves pizza almost as much as Mr. Giacchino. And so he decides one lovely Friday night that he's going to buy himself a pizza and he's going to eat the entire thing in one bite. So, he would have one piece out of one piece. And if I were to write that down with my pencil over here, oh, goodness, it would look like this. One piece out of one piece, right? Or one out of one. One piece of pizza out of one piece of pizza. There's only one big piece of pizza, so he's just eating the one piece. Okay, now you're saying that's pretty simple, Mr. Giacchino. Well, it gets more complicated. Now, Billy Bob Joe Bob Frank Bob Harris has a girlfriend, and his girlfriend is named Jilly Jean Janis. And Jilly Jean Janis and Billy Bob Joe Bob Frank Bob Harris are going to have a date. And so since they're having a date, Billy Bob, he's a good guy, he's a good boyfriend, so he thought it would only be fair if he cut the pizza in half and he shared it with her. So on their lovely pizza date, they're both getting a half. We're going to flip this half over just so you can see the difference. And this is Billy Bob, our main character. This is his slice. And this is Jilly Jean Janis's slice. So now Billy Bob Joe Bob Frank Bob Harris, he no longer has this, right? He doesn't have one piece out of one piece, because there's not just one piece anymore. Now we have how many pieces? Now we have 2 pieces. So right here I'm going to put a 2. And now that we did that, how many pieces is he getting, though? He's not just eating it all for himself. He's a good boyfriend, right? So he's going to eat 1 slice out of 2 slices. Make sense? What does this have to do with music? I'll get there, don't you worry. Now, Billy Bob Joe Bob Frank Bob Harris and Jilly Jean Janis have a couple friends. And their friends are named Lucy Laura Lynn and Frank. And so, Lucy Laura Lynn, Frank, Billy Bob just for short, and Jilly Jean also for short, they are going on a double date. Because Frank and Lucy Laura Lynn, they're kind of an item. So, they're going on a date, a double date. And they want to have pizza because pizza is amazing. So they're going to have that pie, and they want to be fair because they're all good friends, right? And they're going to cut that pie into 4 pieces. Now, one of these pieces is our main character. Who's our main character? Billy Bob Joe Bob Frank Bob Harris, in this case. So Billy Bob Joe Bob Frank Bob Harris is going to have 1 slice of pizza. But there are 3 more slices that his friends and girlfriend are getting, right? So he would no longer get 1 out of 1 slice, and he would definitely not get 1 out of 2 slices, but how many slices are there now? There are 4 people, right? So there's 4 slices. And he's getting how many slices? It's going to be fair, right? So he's just getting 1 slice. So he's having 1 out of 4 slices. Why did I circle that? Well, there's a reason. Because 1 out of 4 is very common all over the place. You'll see it all over the world, and as you get older, you'll just keep running into it. 1 out of 4. But you probably won't call it 1 out of 4 so much, other than like the world of math. So what would you call it? Also, well, another name for 1 out of 4 is 1/4. Or a quarter. Wait, quarter! We have heard that before. We've heard it in a couple places. So one place we've heard it is in music. We're going to come back to that in 1 second. So hold on to that thought, you smart person. But I want to talk about the other place we've heard of a quarter. Oh, let's see. Oh, a quarter. I'm not a magician. I have them in my hand here, the quarters. So a quarter, 25 cents, right? How many quarters make a dollar? Well, let's see. It's 25 cents. So 25 plus 25 cents, I have another quarter, is 50 cents. Plus another 25 cents, another quarter is 75 cents. We're getting rich here. Not really. And another quarter is 100 cents. And 100 cents is the same thing as a dollar. So, 4 quarters equals or makes a dollar. Is the same as a dollar. 4 quarters slices or 4 pieces of pizza that are just all part of a whole pizza put back together make one pizza. They're the same thing as one pizza, just in 4 different parts. And the same thing here. We've got a measure, right? So let's see, beats. We know how to count beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 beats. Same thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know there's 4. And there's 4 of these, and 4 quarter notes. 4 quarter notes equals 1 measure. So what we're going to do is then we would write a 4 right here. Before we had this, we had 4 quarter notes because we knew the quarter note got the beat. But now since we know that there's 4 quarter notes, or quarter, remember we said that's a quarter? 4 quarter notes, take a look at that number at the bottom. We know that we take that 4 and we're going to put it right here because there's 4 tas, or 4 quarter notes. The quarter note is what gets the beat, right? There's 1 beat brick for each ta. Ta gets the beat. Ta is a quarter note. That 4 goes right there. Let's go back to how we were originally writing it. We were writing it like this, right? This is the same as this. So as we said, this is the same as this. This is going to be the same as 4 over 4, right? This is our quarter note. This tells us, the 4 tells us the quarter note gets the beat, as we said. It's 1 quarter, 4 quarters, 4 beats over quarters. And this is, this 2 over this is going to be the same. So this doesn't change because this really means the same thing. This tells us that that's really what it is. Now, you're probably saying, but Mr. Giacchino, we've never seen a 6 above. Well, that's okay. Remember, what's the top number telling you? It's just telling you how many beats are in each measure. So I hope now you have a little bit of a better understanding of what the symbols mean when you see a number over a number, and that's a meter.